Voices from Hudson Bay, Cree Stories from York Factory, 2nd edition, compiled and edited by Flora Beardy and Robert Coutts, narrated by Michaela Washburn, published by Mcgill-Queen's University Press. Acknowledgements. The origins of this book go back to the spring of 1989, when with much laughter and apprehension, we practiced interviewing each other on a new tape recorder in a hotel room in Churchill, Manitoba. The many hours spent recording and transcribing the stories of Cree elders from York Factory were followed by a painstaking selection and editing process that resulted in the recollections contained in this book. Many people provided assistance throughout the project. First, of course, we owe a great debt of gratitude to the elders who generously contributed their stories and teachings. The spirit and enthusiasm of Mr. Archelius Beardy, Mr. Alex Oskan, Mr. Fred Beardy, Mr. Richard Beardy, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph and Amelia Saunders, Mr. and Mrs. Albert and Amy Hill, Mr. John Neepin, Mrs. Elizabeth Oman, Mr. David Massan, Mrs. Mary Redhead, Mrs. Catherine Anderson, and Mr. Abel Chapman was both compelling and rewarding. Much was learned from them, and we hope this publication is deserving of their trust. The support of the chiefs and councils of the York Factory, Split Lake, Shamattawa, and Fox Lake First Nations was critical to the project's success. We would also like to thank Parks Canada, which sponsored the Voices Oral History Project and contributed financially to the publication of this book. Parks staff in Churchill provided their ideas and support, especially the late Lily Macaulay, a dear friend and mentor, while Winnipeg colleagues Gary Adams and Margaret Burnip supplied advice and expertise during the initial phases of the project. Jennifer S. H. Brown, the editor of the Rupert's Land Record Society, gave encouragement and guidance as well as her considerable editorial skills. Raymond Beaumont and the anonymous readers who reviewed the manuscript at an early stage made a number of useful suggestions, and David Pentland contributed advice regarding the many Cree words contained in the book. We would also like to thank John Buckner for his marvelous sketches that appear alongside the biographies, and Susan Plenard, who drafted the maps. Jane Graham smoothed out much of the rough prose of the introduction and notes, and Joan McGillivray of Mcgill-Queen's University Press helped guide us through the wonderful mysteries of publishing. Permission to quote from documents contained in the Hudson's Bay Company Archives, Provincial Archives of Manitoba, and the National Archives of Canada is gratefully acknowledged, as is permission from these institutions to reproduce a number of the photographs which appear in the book. We would also like to thank various individuals for allowing us to publish photographs from their private collections, including Flora Beardy's family, some of the elders interviewed, and John Ingram, for photos by his father Ralph Ingram, post manager at York in the 1930s, on file at Parks Canada in Winnipeg. Lastly, we would like to thank our families, Flora Beardy's husband Edwin and daughter Evelyn, and Robert Coutts' wife Catherine. Their encouragement and patience are appreciated beyond words. Between May 1989 and September 1992, I recorded 12 interviews in the Cree language, which I then translated and transcribed into English. The information gathered from these interviews will be useful, not only to Parks Canada's programs in northern Manitoba, but to Native study groups, students, and all those who have an interest in the history of subarctic communities. By agreement with the interviewees, their recordings will be deposited in the Provincial Archives of Manitoba, while copies will go to the elders or their children and to various First Nations. I consider myself very fortunate to have been part of this project. My contact with the elders has been personally rewarding, and I am thankful to them for bringing alive the stories and traditions in our culture that I had forgotten. I encourage future generations to respect their elders and to listen to them, for they have great knowledge to pass on to us. They are our teachers. My heartfelt thanks go out to all who shared their knowledge with me, for the wonderful support of their families, and also for the support of the chiefs and councils of the First Nations involved. The project was a great success. With great respect, this book is dedicated to all the elders, our teachers. Ekose. Flora Beardy, Church.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?